Welcome to the Hoof and Fang podcast. I'm Kirt Maz.
I'm Maz Maddox.
What's new? You've got a whole new job.
Yeah.
I was going to say, what's new? Gee, I wonder.
Yeah.
We've only been leading up to this for the last how many weeks?
Right.
You've got a new job.
I've got a new job, hence the formal attire and not some random graphic
Yes,
tee.
your super formal attire.
Yeah, it's formal-ish.
A cardigan over a not graphic tee.
Yeah, this is me dressed up, okay?
Yes. Although you better introduce him to the real you at some point.
Yeah, I got to ease them in, though. Like,
Okay.
Day 2, I can't come out with the Zelda shirts and stuff. I feel like I got to earn that a little bit.
Okay.
So,
Day 4?
Yeah, maybe day 4.
Maybe day 4.
Yeah, because the person who has been onboarding me was straight up in a Donkey Kong t-shirt yesterday. So I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure I could just get away.
Are you or are you not there to sell video games?
Exactly. So I think I'll be fine.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah. So as we alluded to in our early shift episode that came out Monday,
Yeah.
we record the Friday episode on Tuesday. So you haven't really had much of a chance to get to know the new, the lay of the land.
Mm-hmm.
But 2 days in,
Yeah, I like it. I mean,
Okay.
the vibe's really cool. Everyone seems really friendly. This is definitely a lot more buttoned up than my last job. Like the last job was really just jump in and start doing stuff because everything's on fire. This one's very, very structured, but not in a bad way. Like everything is got clear roadmaps on what we need to do and when we need to hit things by, and the marketing schedule is actually weeks out and not like the day before. You know what I mean? So it's kind of nice. So
like when you showed up, the last person who had your job had already done their work.
Yeah.
For the time that's happening now.
Yeah.
And so you
I basically
don't have to jump right in and save things.
Exactly. So there are no fires happening. It's just a lot of like, this is what the plan is for Q4. So we're going to show you what we're doing. And then you'll just start taking over reportings and like normal corporate stuff. But I'm like, oh my God, I don't think I've ever worked somewhere that hasn't been actively on fire. Like my entire adult life.
Including when you worked for 911.
Exactly. Because like when I worked for 911, the training for that was shadow somebody, and then when they bless you, you get to move on to like live calls. But even that was only like 2 weeks in, and I'm talking to people who have been shot. You know what I mean? I'm like, like it was rough. So this one having
Did you ever be like, oh man, you should call 911?
Oh man, it sounds like you're really hurt. I wish I could help you.
You should call 911. I did.
Yeah.
That's right. That's me.
Yes. Oh no.
Let me see if somebody else can talk to you.
Yeah,
real
exactly.
quick.
I'm going to transfer you to my manager.
Yeah.
Because this shit got real. But yeah, no, it's just, it's nice to not have any like roaring fires happening like day one. So I'm actually, like I mentioned right before we jumped on, I was like, I'm a little bored, which is kind of nice.
Right.
It's chill, and I'm kind of super into that.
Good.
So yeah, so far so good.
I hope that continues. Not that you stay bored.
No.
Just that
I won't. It's
the
day
pace.
2.
The pace of onboarding remains civil, and that nobody's throwing you to the lions anytime soon. That
Exactly.
There's time to. In fact, I was eavesdropping a little bit. Somebody seemed really enthusiastic about your experience and who you're, and like who you are and what you're bringing. So. Yeah,
and she was like, talking about the employee resource groups and stuff. She's like, I'm really active in the Pride one. I was like, well, then we're going to be best friends.
Yay.
Yeah. And I was like, so I'm super into that. Tell me where to sign up. And she was like super excited. So I was like, okay, I already have a work friend.
Yay.
Like she's neat.
Excellent.
So, yeah, I'm really
awesome.
jazzed. Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, indeed.
Good things are happening. Meanwhile, on my side of the office.
Yeah. Been pretty busy.
Busy, and I'm struggling.
Yeah.
Like some books are just harder to get through than others, and I'm struggling.
Yeah.
With this one, so I am getting a little bit behind schedule. I'm foreseeing some weekends in my future.
Oh no.
I had taken the whole week of my birthday off. I'm foreseeing not having the entire week off anymore.
No.
Because it's just, some books just fly out of you, and other ones it's like, oh boy.
Yeah. Takes a little bit more on the back end.
Yeah. And I'm very nervous about this one because I have been listening to a series of books that I really enjoyed. Sort of in preparation to like continue the series because I had sort of fallen off. And very recently another book had come out in the series, and I was like, well, I'm going to go back and re-listen to those first 3 books. I'll pick up the 4th one that I never read, and then I'll go into this 5th one.
Okay.
The narrator for the 4th book is not the same as the first 3.
Oh.
And I am listening to that book now. And I am being that audiobook person who is like, why is everything different?
Yes, I've gone through this.
Did nobody tell this person what happened in the first 3 books?
Oh, no.
What is going on? Like, these
sucks.
choices make no sense. Like, it's a totally different take on characters. And in part, the part of the problem is, like, clearly this narrator did not pre-read the novel at all.
Oh, shit. That
because,
sucks.
like, there are descriptions for the characters and how they sound that have been completely ignored in favor of I don't know what. Like, so that's part of the problem. But the other part is just like, oh God, why did nobody get this person? And these are books from like a big 5 publisher.
Oh no.
So the book I'm working on right now is the 2nd book in a series that I took over from somebody else who I've never met. I don't know them or their style.
Right.
All I had to listen to was like the 5-minute sample on Audible because it's not like the publisher was like, oh, here's the other book.
You'd think
Listen
that
to it.
would be...
And I wouldn't have time to anyways because it's like a 15-hour book.
Oh, shit. Okay.
And it's like, the deeper and deeper I get into this book, the more I'm like, there's meeting new characters and they're sort of like filling me in on like things that have happened in the past. And not only is this book the 2nd book in this series, but this series is a offshoot of a previous series. So I'm like, when did these things happen?
Oh my God.
How many of these characters have been established before? And like, I'm listening to my book and being upset about all the changes. And now I'm like, wait, how many of these people were in previous books? Nobody told me anything.
Shit.
I was like, I'm probably doing some things very wrong.
Yeah.
And it's fantasy. So there's also like weird names. And I'm like, what if I'm saying names totally differently? So I'm very in my head.
Yeah.
And it's psychologically just hard to get.
I'm stressed out and I'm not even involved. I'm like, oh my God.
So yeah, so we're doing our best, but every day in the booth is kind of just like a little psychological minefield of like, is this right? I don't know.
Is there you don't have anybody you can reach out? I guess it would just take too long.
Really, I mean, we've talked about this before, but depending on who you're working with, sometimes they are like, yeah, reach out to the authors, and other times they are like, don't. And it's like, well,
crap. Yeah.
It's like, okay, you know, and so if they don't provide you with it, it's like, well, moving forward, I'm just going to do what I think is right.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll find out in the comments in a few months once the book comes out if I was wildly off base. And the other thing is like, I've done this before. I took over a series from another narrator who only did the first book. But then, of course, like a lot of the reviews for that 2nd book, the first ones that came out were like 1 star. Don't like the new narrator.
Oh, no.
All these different things he did. And it's like, well, but none of those things were in the book.
Yeah.
So like, I've come at it from the other side too, where they're like, his boyfriend, you know, where this, like the boyfriend, I guess the first narrator gave him a Southern accent. And it's like, it doesn't say anywhere in the books that he has a Southern accent.
Yeah. So
in fact, it says that he grew up in California. He's a California native. Why would I give him a Southern accent?
Yeah. And
so it took like 3 books of me being that before I became the voice of that series. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't want to do that again. And when they offered me the book, I didn't know it was the 2nd book in a series. It's not like they were like, here's the 2nd book. It was just like, here's a book, here's the series. And I was like, okay, yeah. It's good money.
They should lead with that, you know?
And then it was like, in the prep, it was when I was like, oh, this isn't a first book. This is a 2nd book.
Oof.
Some of these characters were in the last book.
Yeah.
But I don't know what they sound like. I only know what the narrator sounds like from the first 5 minutes of the book.
Shit.
And it's like, okay. I was like, well, we'll see how this goes.
Yeah. No shit.
So yeah. So that's what I'm dealing with over there.
Yeah, that's a lot. Like again, I'm so stressed out from just you telling not even involved in the process. I'm like, oh God, that's just rough.
Yeah.
Oof.
So, but again, all you can do is your best and hope that like the decisions you're making and the storytelling that you're doing will satisfy enough people.
Yeah.
I also know that like I have a fair number of people who follow my work, so maybe I'm bringing people to this series who
wouldn't have grabbed
who
it
haven't
before.
listened to the other book and like they don't care.
Is it one of those books that you can jump in at any time? Is it like, or are you not sure?
I don't know.
Damn. Okay.
I only have this one book.
Yeah, to go
off
so
of.
Who knows?
So I don't know.
Oh man.
They do seem to be referencing previous events sort of casually, and it's in that way that I know. I'm like, oh, this is something that happened in a previous book. the way they're just kind of listing off these people and what they mean to each other. And like this adventure they went on, I was like, this was a whole other book.
Yeah. Oh no.
Damn it. I was like, oh God. So how many of these people in this scene were from that other book?
Exactly. How many of them have Southern accents?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Shit.
So, but it is what it is. You get through it.
One of those weird things of being a narrator. Sometimes you get thrown into situations like you're in book 2 and going in blind. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. So we'll see.
We'll see
in a few months how that goes. Because when the book comes out, I'm sure people will let me know.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully they'll be nice.
They're never nice.
They're never nice.
No, they're never nice.
I couldn't even.
They're never nice in the reviews. No. The angry ones and the mean ones always come first. So, which is why I don't read reviews.
I don't either. I shall
just ignore it.
Yeah.
If perhaps somebody at this production company decides to actually pay attention to continuity and wants to let me know what I did wrong and help me fix it, happy to do so. But
otherwise,
should have done that before the book started.
Right. Exactly.
Because it's too late now. To have to go back and re-record half the book would be
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfeasible. That's not happening. So, but yeah, so that's what's going on in the booth over there, including we continue to be recording Far From Neverland from River Hale. Weekly episodes continue to come out every Tuesday.
Yes.
So we have that to look forward to. That I'm having a lot of fun with.
I'm so into this book. And it's usually not my thing at all. It's just fun. Like River's just really good at this story.
Yes.
So yeah, super into it. If you like dark fantasy, highly recommend it.
Right, and it's not even that dark yet.
It's not.
I keep waiting for it to get dark.
This is about the level of dark I like, I think, where it's just like it's dark, but it's not making me uncomfortable. I'm just like, ooh, you know what I mean? So yeah, I like it a lot. It's fun.
Yeah. So so that's happening. I mean, I think we're like 60% into the book, and like
we're really knocking.
Nothing has happened so far that I'm like, well, that made me uncomfortable, which I expected it to make me more uncomfortable.
I went into it worried as well because I'm not super into super dark stuff. Like I have read some dark stuff and it's fine. Like I like Jex Lane and she's very dark. But this one, so I was expecting it to be kind of that. And when it wasn't, I was like, good. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I wanted anything like really dark right now. So I was like, okay, this is more like fun dark and not like dark. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what the different levels could be described as.
I don't know. I think we have to have a scale.
My imagination made it much worse.
Yeah, me too.
Like, oh boy. All right. But
yeah.
We have this mission on the podcast to do all different types of stories and
for sure.
different types of genres. And so it's like, let's do it. So
and
far
cool
I've been like, oh no, this is fun.
This is fun.
Like this is not nearly as bad as like half the shifter stuff I do, which gets very violent and gruesome. Like the motorcycle club stuff I've done, the mafia stuff I've done, like those things are dark. This is like, yeah,
it's fun.
Yeah,
it's
like
more like
one of the
fun.
One of the characters is usually a villain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great. Yeah. Exactly.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So Far From Neverland, new episode comes out Tuesday over at the Patreon. Also coming out next Wednesday is Animorphs book number 47, our recap of The Resistance. Those continue to come out Wednesdays. Save the Vampire work in progress chapters are coming out on Fridays.
I think this week is the last week because the book comes out that following Thursday. That's right. So this will be the last week.
This will be the last one.
Yeah.
And then the book comes out on the 31st, on Halloween. On my mom's birthday and on my dog's birthday, according to the shelter that decided he was born on Halloween.
My mom's birthday is the day before. Isn't that wild?
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah. No, my mom's birthday is Halloween. And again, the shelter was like, we'll say his birthday is October 31st. Because he was a stray, so who knows when it really is.
Exactly.
I think it's just he kind of looks spooky.
Yeah.
He's like a dark colored little dog. So yeah, happy birthday to my mom and Apollo.
Yay.
And Save the Vampire.
Yes, perfect.
All born on the same day. So, and then usually we're putting out the early shift every Monday. We just had an instance this week or the previous week where we didn't. So when one of us isn't here, we just don't do it.
Right. So there's a little bit more breezy.
Yeah, a little more, exactly. More breezy.
More breezy.
And so, but in the future, I don't see any weeks when one of us isn't going to be here.
Yeah, I'm going to be
We're here for a while.
For a while, yeah.
So
it'll be pretty consistent.
It should be pretty consistent from here on out. All right. So this week you are bringing some news to the podcast for us to talk about.
So we kind of talked a little bit about the future of audiobooks and publishing and authoring and stuff last week. But then I found this article today when I was kind of sifting around for things to talk about. Apparently, the owner of TikTok, ByteDance, started their own publishing company recently, but they're moving into print publishing specifically. So I kind of wanted to talk about it because there's a great article on New York Times, I think is what it is. Yeah. That kind of breaks everything down. And I just immediately, it just lit up my brain because I was like, this is so interesting. I was actually ready to be really mad. And like, as I read about it, I was like, I'm actually not, but I wanted to kind of get your perspective on it too. So the long and short of it is they, obviously book talk has been blowing up on TikTok and has been for the past couple of years. Well, they saw this, of course, blowing up. So they decided to enter the ebook and digital marketplace.
Right.
And because of the nature of how influencers work and watching the trends on how, especially the younger generations, I guess, what is it? Not Gen Z, right? No, Gen X was the people before millennials. It's Gen Z and Gen Alpha, I think is.
Gen Alpha, yeah, that's right. That's the next one.
Okay. So they're kind of watching the trends of like how they're consuming the media, and they're kind of pivoting based on that research.
Right.
So yeah, with them moving into print specifically, it's kind of changing up, or has the potential of really changing up how books are being published in the future.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So this brings up a lot of things in my mind. And I do encourage folks to go read the article if you can.
Yeah.
New York Times has a paywall.
Yeah. I think if you make a free account, you can read it, because I made a free account and I was able to read it.
Good.
So
we'll link to it in the show notes if you want to go read the article. But honestly, like, to me, what this all kind of boils down to is sort of almost like a democratization of publishing.
Yeah.
And it really speaks to the trend we've seen in recent years of like indie authors who can't get an agent, can't get any attention from publishing in the traditional way.
Yeah.
They go ahead and publish their book independently.
Yeah.
It becomes a big fucking hit. The publishers swoop in, buy up the rights, pay for the sequel, The fans have been leading publishers to popular books for several years now.
Yeah.
And like TikTok has been a big part of that. And so I see no reason not to move forward with a different model of how to choose how you're going to publish books. Like, what I like about this is it seems like, so TikTok owns this Eighth Note Publishing, and then they are partnering with another company that already has like imprints for actual printing of books. And so it seems to me like part of their strategy will be to like have Eighth Note that does ebooks already, continue to do ebooks, and then some of them can also be imprints, like printed. Yeah. That just makes sense to me.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that's sort of like what indie publishing does now.
Right.
Like, so much is just about the ebook, and then you can order on demand the print books.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need to print 100,000 copies of a book that we have no idea whether or not it will sell.
Right. Yeah. It just makes more sense this way.
And so many people read digitally now anyways. Let's just make sure that authors are properly compensated for that work. And then, print a book if the need arises.
Yeah.
Interestingly, the article has a quote from somebody saying that they still think print is the overwhelming favorite for the purchasing of books.
For this generation specifically, I think is what they were alluding to, because they were talking about how younger audiences prefer physical copies because of book talk, so they can hold it up in their reels. And I think if you, I might be misquoting the data, but they said the, like Jessica Yarros and Sarah Maas and stuff like that, those
Rebecca Yarros?
Yeah, sorry. Okay. Their books made up like 85% of printed books in like romantasy and stuff. But whereas like general fiction only went up by like 6% or something like that. Like, it was just this massive leap of printed books last year because of this just blowing up.
Yeah, but it was in such a
talk,
small...
Like a small poll.
Right.
Yeah.
Like 2 or 3 books becoming very popular in print does not tell me that
like the
print
genre
is the most popular version. Like that quote didn't read as true to me. I'm
you don't think so?
No. I was like, I think the number of people who feel they need a physical book will always exist.
Yeah.
But I don't think that number is getting bigger.
Yeah. You don't think so?
No.
I mean, especially with book talk and everything blowing up. Fair enough.
No.
I mean, I get tapped more about physical copies recently than over the past couple of years, but that's also a small pool. Like in my poll is like 5 people has asked me within the past couple of months, whereas before nobody did. You know what I mean? Right. So I don't know.
I mean, I like to get a physical book. Anybody who's watching the YouTube right now can see behind you. I have some physical books.
Yeah.
I don't really think of them as books though. I think of them as trophies.
Same.
Because it's like, I don't consume books on paper.
Right.
I just like the ones I've narrated that I would really like to have a physical copy of, sort of as a memento.
Yeah.
I will go and get the book.
Right.
I don't really read physical books.
I usually
I
don't
know
either.
many people who read physical books.
Yeah. I mean,
I know a lot of people who prefer to read an ebook over an audiobook. Yeah. I know a lot of people who prefer an audiobook over an ebook. I know very few people who are like, I can't really read it unless it's a physical book. Yeah, it is a small, as far as people I know, it is a small percentage because like Alex prefers physical, but then he also will do primarily audio if it's not like he just needs a physical one for some reason. Well, and it's just like, it's such first of all, it's an investment of money. It's also an investment of space.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, same.
The days of like having soaring bookshelves full of books, like shit's expensive right now. Like most often what I see people getting physical books, sure, they're the influencers, but you know what? So many of those influencers are getting those books for free.
A lot of them are, yeah.
So it's like, okay, they really want a physical copy. Well, sure, they want a free physical copy of the book that they can hold up on their accounts. But also, so many people that I know of, when they buy a physical book, it's because they already read it or listened to it and loved it so much that they want the physical copy.
That's me.
That I understand. Yeah. Like that, but to me, that doesn't make it more popular than the other things.
Right. It's just a trophy. It's a collector's item at that point.
Right.
That's how I view them as well. Like I think the last physical book I wrote, well, that's just a different thing. I had like one with big pictures in it. And I was like, oh, cool. And with physical so I could see the pictures. But as far as like a true novel, I typically will do, these days it's usually audio. But then if I really, really like it and want it as my little trophy, then I'll go buy like a collector's or whatever.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So I'm not saying the appeal for print isn't still there. I just don't. The way it was referenced in the article, like it was like the next big thing is print again. And I was like, no, I don't think that's, I don't know that, certainly they did not in the article justify that opinion.
Well, and they also didn't give like raw number data or anything. This is just an article, but I would love to see
show me the data. Show me the data that says that and prove me wrong. But like you and I, we exist in publishing at least a little bit every day of our lives.
Right.
And like, that trend, I have not seen.
Yeah, no, I haven't either. I mean,
certainly for some books.
Oh yeah.
That are very popular, and especially when they do something like a Barnes & Noble exclusive, or it just has a really cool cover. Like, there are some books that probably excel in print editions. Yeah. But like as a whole, for the whole industry, I love the idea of letting it be digital forward, and then if something really hits, then we can print the book so people can have that trophy. Yeah. They can have the thing that they can take to a signing for an author to sign.
Yes. Yeah.
You know? Those are just anecdotally, by the way, so that made me think of it, of like the first time I went to a signing and I like opened somebody's book and they were like, no. Like, don't open the cover all the way. Like, don't break the spine to sign the book. Right. And I was like,
oh my God.
I was like, okay, so you're never going to actually read this book.
Yeah, no, it's going to go on the shelf. Yeah.
I was like, okay, so just like gently lift the cover, sign it. All right, there you go. Like, like that to me was like, I was like, oh, okay, this isn't for reading. This book you just purchased, it's not for reading.
Yeah. It's wild.
It's for having, you know, which again, I totally understand.
Oh yeah, instinct. No, that's how mine are.
The other thing this makes me think of is just like how much specifically television media has changed, but to a degree also movies. Yeah. 10 years ago, maybe a little longer now, but like 10, 15 years ago, the idea of a streaming platform winning an Emmy or an Oscar
Yeah.
was like ridiculous.
Yeah.
And now it's like they're in the mix every year.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Streaming
Totally
TV is
different.
like the number one
Mm-hmm.
every year.
Yeah.
Like it's prestige TV.
Mm-hmm.
So just the idea of like something not being the way we've always consumed it doesn't scare me that much because
No.
like TV is still popular.
Oh, yeah.
Movies
of
are still
course.
popular.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that like how we consume them
Mm-hmm.
has changed.
Yeah.
You don't have to sit down at a certain time, a certain night of the week to watch your favorite show.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to go to a movie theater to watch a movie.
Right.
But the art is still being created. And in a lot of ways, the art has gotten better.
Mm-hmm.
It's gotten more diverse.
Yes.
In some cases, like the scrappy little things have a chance to succeed
Mm-hmm.
in a way they probably never would have if
Right.
at first they would have had to have been approved by like an endless line of people
Mm-hmm.
who give the okay for production to proceed,
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
So like I think there's really good ways for this type of publishing to proceed
Mm-hmm.
where it focuses on digital, using the influencers that are already a part of their platform
Mm-hmm.
to promote the things that they want to push forward. That's capitalism. It's always going to happen.
For sure. Right.
But then, having that pipeline from like what the people really enjoy and like
Mm-hmm.
and moving into something mainstream.
Yeah.
I mean, it happened for our friend TJ Klune.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
know?
Right.
It's happening to another author that I know of that I can't talk about yet.
Oh. I'll ask you
like
about that.
Going from
after this.
indie to mainstream publishing.
Mm-hmm.
That book I read earlier in the year, Manacled,
Mm-hmm.
that was just something on AO3.
Yeah.
She's now been picked up by a major publisher, and they're like
Damn.
converting that book, 50 Shades of Grey style, into like its own story, even though it was originally fan fiction.
Yeah. Oh, I dig it.
So like,
Yeah.
these things were already happening. It's just another way for that to happen, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah. I'm actually, like I said, I went into this article ready to be pissed off and then was like, actually, I kind of love this.
Right.
Because when they were talking about, one of the quotes I put down was they're starting with what's popular and what's blowing up, and then genres coming second, basically.
Right.
So they're not focusing, right? Like, I think that's going to give the genres a big shakeup. Like, it's having that room to kind of play with what that means. Like, what does romance truly mean? Let's play with that.
Right.
And seeing what people are gravitating to when people are kind of toying with the story beats and things like that. Like romantasy, I think has always been around, but now it's really finding its legs.
Yeah.
Whereas like that term didn't even exist like 2 years ago, I think. So,
Well, and what's popular also a lot of times depends on what's going on in the world.
right.
If folks want to bounce over to my other podcast, The Narrator Roundtable,
Mm-hmm.
on October 30th, we're releasing an episode all about narrating horror.
Ooh.
And we talk about like how at times, often of like political unrest,
Mm-hmm.
horror becomes a more popular genre
Yeah.
because people are just feeling less in control of their own lives.
Yeah.
You know? And so at the times of war or famine or,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, political unrest, like so those categories can like
Yeah.
see a bump because
Yeah.
people are just more interested in them.
That's cool.
So yeah, and I do foresee, like, as much as they want to use their platform to promote the things they've decided we're going to print,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that there are going to be any more You can't tell people what to like.
No.
I mean,
you
there
can
are
have
entire-
influence, of course.
Right. There are entire industries built up who say that they can do that, and they sell that to the people who are selling a book to say, like, we can make this book the biggest thing. There are more hits than misses.
Yeah.
Every single year.
Mm-hmm.
And there are surprise hits
Mhm.
every single year.
Yeah.
The people will like what the people like
Mhm.
when they like it.
Right.
Sometimes it's about timing. So
yeah,
like,
it really is.
good luck with these like dozen titles you've chosen to print, and then
Mhm.
you're going to push to your TikTokers and they're going to make it big on TikTok. Sure. A couple of those will hit, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Not all of them will.
No.
That
just
is
the
the
nature of
industry.
it. Yeah.
That is the industry. A few really popular books or series can carry a whole publishing house that's publishing hundreds of other books a year
Mm-hmm.
that don't really get much attention.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true.
So,
I was happy that when I was looking at some of the titles that they picked up, one of them was like a sapphic queer young adult kind of
Yeah.
thing. So I was like, I have such hope for that, because now we're not trying to cater to these Well, and they're also getting better. Like, but the big publishing houses that are real quick to shut that down unless it meets a certain criteria. They're like, no, people like the gay stuff. Like, let's do happy gay stuff. Like, I love that that's thriving right now. So,
yes, same. That was a great. I mean, Sapphic, fine.
Ew girls.
Ew girls, yes. Ew. The T-shirt hasn't come out yet.
We got to start making merch.
But yeah. I mean, again, what an example of like something that probably wouldn't make it past the endless line of people who have to put a check mark next to an idea before it gets published.
Yeah.
It's it's already popular, so let's print it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Let's pick up a series that's already doing well. And then maybe in that way we encourage more authors who are reticent to go into indie publishing. Let's give them another reason to say like, all right, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm just going to put my book out there and see what happens. And I'm not going to worry about the prestige of traditional publishing because like this indie publishing is just another way to possibly get to traditional publishing.
Right.
If that is your end goal.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, it's not because I think I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but like I've definitely talked to people who are like, no, I would never put out an indie book. Like I'm trad published. Why would I? Yeah. It'd be like going backwards. And it's like, no,
it's not. It's just a different channel.
Another way of doing it.
Right.
And you could probably actually be making more money per book.
Depending. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
If you brought your audience from your trad pub.
I mean, that's what Gail Carriger did. Like she was traditionally published and then she started doing some independent stuff. She's doing great. Yeah. Like it took off.
Yeah.
So
it's, it's possible. But sometimes the feeling of being like a published author is more important than making money. And I was like, I don't get that.
Yeah.
I'm here to make money.
I mean, you do see, I just had a friend recently who got traditionally published after years of trying to get picked up, and she got a 6-figure deal. So,
Yay.
And that's so cool. So you see stuff like that, and I think that's what people are like, that's what I want. I want to have a full-time job doing this stuff, getting paid 6 figures for, a book deal kind of thing. So, I mean, that would be great.
Yeah.
Sounds amazing. Yeah. So I can see
wonderful.
the allure.
Yeah. So, all right. Anything else you wanted to touch on this topic?
I think that was everything. I mean, this was just one of those really interesting new developments in our world. So I wanted to kind of chit chat about it.
So if you want to check out the article, you'll find it in our show notes, as long as I remember to put it in there. And otherwise, you can yell at us on our social media, which you have to go follow. Search Hoof and Fang Podcast. You can also find us at our website, hoofandfangpodcast.com, which also has a link to our Patreon, which has all those incredible things we were talking about at the top of the episode. We hope to see you there, and we hope to see you here next week.
See you then.
Bye.